All right, this video is going to be how diffusers work, and it'll kind of be broken into two parts. So the first part is a diffuser's effect on a car's drag, and the second part is a diffuser's effect on a car's lift. So here I've got two cars, very aerodynamic cars with very few sharp edges. That's a joke. The first car does not have a diffuser. The second car, it does, and I made it green. Okay, so a diffuser, in terms of drag, its goal is to smoothly transition high velocity, low pressure air from under the car. You've got, I should draw wheels and the ground. We've already talked about the ground effect. So you've got normal air outside, you've got high velocity air indicated by longer arrows underneath the car. And because of the Bernoulli, that means low pressure. And then out the back, you've got normal velocity air. So the transition from this high velocity to normal velocity, if it's not smooth and if it happens over a sharp edge, what'll happen is it'll glance off the sharp edge and it'll create, it'll basically delaminate and create vortices. And all of that contributes to more drag because of, I talked about it in the last video, but basically the drag has a higher skin friction because its slope at that point is much higher than the slope of laminar velocity. Anyways, yeah, so if it delaminates, it'll cause drag. So a diffuser aims to very smoothly make the air slow down and expand it back into normal pressure. And this is literally the exact same concept as a nozzle, if you've learned about nozzles, and I have videos on that as well. Its job is to expand it such that the pressure right at the end of the diffuser equals atmospheric pressure. Versus here, without a diffuser, the pressure right at the end does not equal atmospheric because pressure right at the end is still the low pressure. And if you don't do that properly, like I mentioned, it'll cause excess drag. Another way that a diffuser decreases drag is you've got airflow flowing over the car, and that causes vacuums to form. Like around here there'll be a vacuum, around here there'll be a vacuum, and so on. And the reason for that is, like I mentioned, air can't change directions sharply. So once it glances off of here, it'll match that, like it'll literally match that slope. And it won't fill this region. It's supposed to be an arrow. So if air is not going there, by default, that is a vacuum. And if you have a vacuum, that will pull the car backwards. And if it's pulling the car backwards, that is drag. So what a diffuser does is, another thing it does is it'll decrease that area. So now instead of this massive zone of drag, or of low pressure, which causes drag, you have only this tiny zone of low pressure that causes drag, if any, but you probably will, because now the slope of the air leaving is going to be like that. To be honest, yeah, no, that's probably good enough. That's probably good enough. So the two ways that diffusers help reduce drag is by decreasing this vacuum area and eliminating wrong color, delamination and vortices off of sharp edges. think that's it for the drag. Yeah, okay. So, let's see if I still have it copied. I do. Let's go. Okay. Now for the downforce. I tried redrawing this picture. That's probably pretty good. Okay, so as mentioned, the air will flow underneath and then it'll be redirected upwards. Just like that. If the air gets redirected upwards, that has to create an equal and opposite force. And that will mean that the car is redirected downwards. So that, yeah, that's literally it. It's literally an equal and opposite force. If the air gets redirected upwards, the car will get redirected downwards. And that produces the downforce. I don't really know the best way to draw it. I'm just going to draw a downward arrow, but not in blue because that's air. Downforce. There you go. All right. That is how diffuser produces downforce. One more thing, I guess. I got to draw it again. This is pretty important as well. It's the angle of the diffuser and why that's important. Okay. Let's say you don't make the diffuser as steep as it could be. So it's a very shallow diffuser. Here it's pretty steep. You've got a height difference of that. Here it's pretty shallow. You got more than that. Like a height difference of that. And that's a much shallower, much shallower diffuser. So that does a couple of things. So one, we talked about this drag area back here, this low pressure area. So it means that area is bigger. Two, it means you're not redirecting the air upwards as much as you could have been if you made it steeper. And that means it's not going to produce as much downforce as it could. Okay, so what happens if you make it too steep? Let's just make it the extreme, all the way up to there. Well, you're going to end up with air that delaminates from the diffuser, and that's going to produce vortices, and that's going to produce drag and all that stuff. And so it'll increase drag, and it'll make the air turbulent, and turbulent air won't be redirected as cleanly as laminar air, which means the car will produce less downforce. So both cases, both too shallow and too steep of diffuser angles, produce less downforce and increase drag. Yeah, so doing CFD to, optimize all this stuff is very, very important. One more thing. All right, so let me copy this image. Got a bunch of pictures of weird cars on this. Look at this. 5 weird cars. That's insane. All right. A lot of sports cars have rear wings. Let's just say that's the rear wing. What you can do, it's kind of a cheat code. If you put, let's assume car is much smoother. It's too smooth. Let's assume that your car is much smoother. So you're sitting in there, got the steering wheel, sitting down, all that stuff. You're a lot bigger than that. That's a super tiny person. Yeah, so the air will flow. Let's assume it flows nicely over the car, and it can get back. Well, okay. I should take a step back. So here, the air is going to flow over the car, and this is a sharp edge, so it won't be able to go down very far. It'll delaminate, and that's literally the suction region that I drew right there. This means that you have to place your spoiler super high up, not that high, maybe like up there, in order for smooth air to go over it. You have to place it up super high. If your car is more aerodynamic and that sort of stuff, you can place the spoiler lower. And it will be effective. It'll be just as effective as up here. Now, kind of a cheat thing that you can do is you could place the spoiler, technically, actually, this air, it'll go down and it'll keep on going down. You can place the spoiler back up there. And what that does is it will create a low pressure region below it, because that's what spoilers do. They create low pressure regions below it. And this will help extract the diffuser air, which is pretty freaking neat, because it means you can run steeper diffuser angles without this delamination. Because if you put your wing there, far out the back, it'll create low pressure region, and it'll help extract this air. That's pretty freaking neat. I didn't know that until recently, but that is like really freaking neat. I think that's all of my bullet points. I have sticky notes here. Yeah, I think so. Cool beans. Cool beans.